Happy Saturday. How y'all doing? How y'all doing? Happy Saturday. What's going on? I appreciate everybody being in here. What's going on, Kiki? What's going on, BG? Yeah, BG, she keep beating you. She keep beating you. Kiki getting up, getting her chores done, getting everything ready. And that's why she always the first one. So Kiki, you know what, Kiki? You get you some hand claps today. You get you some hand claps again. Yeah, again, getting all your stuff done and being on time. What's going on, Will? How you doing? How you doing? What's going on, my brother? What's going on, the academic doctor over on Instagram? How you doing? Everybody on Facebook, what's going on? How y'all doing? Y'all see what we here? Getting an update on this Carmelo Anthony case because Carmelo has a new defense team filled with appeal attorneys, defense attorneys, and civil rights attorneys. What will this lead to? We don't know, but we're going to examine possible outcomes. We're going to look at this, look at the defense team, get deep into this and try to understand as much as possible. I'm not a legal expert, so I'm not saying I have the answer, but I do know how to look up information and put two and two together. So that's what we're doing here. But of course, that's why you all are here as well. So you all are going to add to this conversation and help us put some sense to this. Battle Genja is our resident legal expert. So we leaning on you too, BG, to help us understand everything that's going on. So with that being said, please hit that like button, comment, subscribe, share, hit that hype button. Make sure as many people as possible can see this video, get this information. We're looking at a couple videos of people giving information about Carmelo's new legal team. So I do want to say this. So normally, we would go till about 5:30. So today I'm on a tight schedule. I got to go work this community event right after this. So we going up until 5 o'clock. So we got to go ahead and get into it and not waste no time. So we can make sure we can get as much of this information in as possible. So what's going on, Renee? How you doing? Happy Saturday, Renee. Thank you for being here. Nemesis, what's going on? You said Nemesis said he called bullshit. The only reason the family are attempting to get things done are because people looked at the parents and saw, hey. Well, we've already talked about that. We've already talked about how all the adults around Carmelo, especially the parents, have failed him. So, getting into it. That's why we're gonna have I love having you all contribute to the conversation. So that's how we're doing it. So from the beginning, we all know Austin Metcalf lost his life. The family is grieving, and that can never be repaired. And another young man, Carmelo Anthony, is now convicted of murder and sentenced to 35 years in prison. So what we're talking about is not a game because lives have been lost, lives have been disrupted, families have been disrupted, right? So this is not about, this is about us making some sense about what's going on. We've already chosen sides as far as what we think based off the evidence. Looking at the evidence from the beginning when it first happened like a year ago, as far as being able to look at the police report and see things from a standpoint as much as we know. But what we are doing here though is to make sure that we get a lot more information. And when I say choosing sides, I mean we all know Carmelo had a right to defend himself. Legally, under Texas law, Carmelo had a right to defend himself. Austin Metcalf didn't have a right to try to remove him from under the tent or put his hands on him. Now, why we're here is because whatever was happening with this trial, it didn't work out. And whatever, all the decisions that the parents made and the legal teams made, it didn't work out. One big criticism that we do have for the parents is they went after Charleston White instead of going after like lawyers or people with real legal expertise. So that kind of boggled our minds. And just Charleston White being a part of it anyway. But with all that being said, the latest development is that Carmelo Anthony now has a high-profile legal team preparing to challenge his conviction through the appeals court. These are civil rights lawyers, criminal defense lawyers, and appellate lawyers. But the question we have to answer today is, what can this new legal team actually do for Carmelo? Is this something to just bring more attention to the case, or will this actually get some real results? Can they get him a new trial? Can they challenge the sentence? Can they prove that legal errors were affected? Oh, excuse me. Can they prove that legal errors occurred that affected the outcome? Or is the public misunderstanding what an appeal really means? And we do know that most of the public don't really know what an appeal is. An appeal is not a second jury. An appeal is not simply saying we do not like the verdict. And an appeal is about the record. It's about whether the judge made legal mistakes. It's about whether the jury was selected fairly. It's about whether the law on self-defense was properly applied. It's about whether evidence was handled correctly. And it's about whether Karmelo received the constitutional protections every person is supposed to receive in an American courtroom. And so that legal team will have to be able to prove those different things. So we're going to break down the legal team, the appeal process, the release video footage, the self-defense argument, the jury selection controversy, and the questions many people are asking. Was there foul play, or did the jury simply reject the defense? So we're gonna, of course, you know, I'm always fair over here. I'm always trying to be fair. I always like to tell the truth, but at the same time, I want us to understand what's happening and what's going on, so we can move forward better and be smart about what's going on. So that's what we're getting into. The black legal class, as always, left their people. Hey, look, Renee, I'm not gonna lie, Renee. One of the first questions I had was, did none of these people think about reaching out to the family before this happened? Nobody, none of these high profile lawyers thought about none of this stuff earlier, like a year ago, before the trial. Yeah, and see, Nemesis, so we getting into everything, man. I want us to make sure we understand. Like, you know, a lot of black people are excited, jumping off the couch, like, hey, Karmelo about to get out. And it's like, is that really where we at, right? So we already know Karmelo has been convicted to 35 years of murder. He doesn't have a new trial just yet. That hasn't happened. The new development is the high profile legal team that has joined his appeals effort and says it will review the trial record for legal errors. And from my understanding, if they do, well, this whole process could take up to a year, maybe a year and a half, right? So this is not something that's going to happen overnight. CBS Texas reported that Anthony filed a notice of appeals less than 24 hours after the conviction, and the new team says its job is to determine whether legal error occurred and present every supported issue on appeal. So if they can't, even though Karmelo Anthony has this new legal team, if they can't prove that any foul play happened, then nothing is going to change in the sentence. Remember, an appeal is not about whether people online feel the verdict is wrong or right. It's about whether the trial court made legal errors serious enough to affect the conviction or sentence. So can that be proven by this new team? And if it can't be proven, then, you know, and Battle said is the process has to take place. Nemesis says high profile. Who are the high profile black lawyers and whatever? I listed the database last time, but you can't tell me off the top of my head who are high pro. Hey man, you know that's what everybody calling them, high profile. That's what they saying they're supposed to be. So that's why I say we're gonna break this down and make sense of everything. So you can even tell me a high profile black law clerk or a practice. It said Renee said because there was no money bag, they were not interested in. Yes, Joseph. That's what. Yeah. Hey, look. I feel you, Renee. It is pathetic. He should not be there. Well, I mean, they couldn't prove his defense team could not prove that he was defending himself. Now, of course, we all believe from the evidence that he was defending himself, but the defense team and all the strategies and things that was used couldn't prove that he was defending himself. So I feel you. Nemesis. I feel you. So let me share my screen to get into this first video. This talking about giving the breaking news on the new legal team for Karmelo. Hey, Renee, look, our tribalism runs deep, and even now Black American or intra-Black American tribalism, because there's a great disconnect between the elders and the young people. There's a great disconnect. The elders disrespecting the young people, and the young people disrespecting the elders, and everybody disrespecting each other. Nobody's getting along. Well, true. The family could have turned them down, but that's what I'm saying. That's why. So Nemesis. That's what I'm saying, though. Like, that's one thing I've been harping on. Like, let's say, like, a Black lawyer who was more than capable did present themselves to the family, and they turned them down because, of course, they got the advice to get the white lawyer, but also, they went to Charleston White first. So yeah, I feel you. Y'all please hit that like button. And let's get into this first video.
2 weeks after Karmelo Anthony was convicted of murdering Austin Metcalf, he has a new legal team.
And that appeal defense team is led by former Dallas County Assistant DA Russell Wilson, who Fox 4 has used as a legal analyst for quite a few cases. Fox 4 Stephen Dial here now to talk about the next steps in the case. Stephen?
Heather, Russell Wilson leading that appeals team. He'll be joined by 5 other lawyers, including civil rights attorney Justin Moore. I spoke to a well-known appeals attorney who's not a part of this case. He told me the legal team has 30 days from the conviction to file for a new trial, but told me that may not happen. 19-year-old Karmelo Anthony was found guilty of murdering 17-year-old Austin Metcalf at a high school track meet 2 years ago. The conviction came down 2 weeks ago. He was sentenced to 35 years in prison, immediately filed a notice of appeal, telling the court he had no money to pay for attorney's fees. Monday, a new legal team announced that it would work on his appeal process pro bono. Civil rights attorney Lee Merritt posted on social media that he helped put the team together. Russell Wilson, who is a familiar face on Fox 4, is leading the team. Joining him are 5 other lawyers, including longtime NAACP President Gary Bledsoe. There has been a lot of racial tension around this case. During the trial, there were no Black men or women on the jury. Today, I talked to an appeals attorney, Gary Budishin, who is not associated with the case, about the process moving forward.
If the new defense lawyers decide to file a motion for new trial, that will happen in the next couple of weeks. Now, that's difficult to do because they don't have the record. There are things that are difficult to raise on a motion for trial because you don't have the record. The defense lawyers representing the defendant on appeal have 30 days from the point of receiving the transcript to actually file the appellate brief, which is the written arguments to the Court of Appeals. On a case like this, and in fact, really on most cases, it's necessary to get at least one 30-day extension.
I know there may have been people of color, but no Black jurors. Is that something that an appeals legal team would focus in on or mention? Is that something that would stand out in saying, okay, my client did not get a fair shake of his peers?
Absolutely. As I understand what happened at trial, when the prosecutors struck the remaining Black jury panel members, the defense lawyer made an objection to it. So they preserved the issue for appeal purposes. So I feel quite certain that's going to be an issue on appeal.
Budishin told me that the record of transcript may not come until August or later. When that happens, the defense will file their brief, then the state will have 30 to 60 days to respond before it goes to the appeals court, which is based here in Dallas.
So that's news, a little bit of news on the new legal team. We're challenging the standard of what comes. One of the things that I was thinking as this was playing too is this new legal team, this high-profile legal team, Of course, factoring in that the family didn't allow, or the family chose who they chose. The family may have rejected capable lawyers, period, but capable black lawyers. But also, you know, this story has legs. This Carmelo Anthony story has legs. So we're talking about lawyers who would normally be paid big money for these types of cases chose to take this pro bono because, of course, it's the Carmelo Anthony cases. It's one of, if not the biggest legal cases right now in the media. So it has a lot of legs. And if they can come out of this with some kind of victory for Carmelo, it's good on them. It's great for their resume, and it's in the public eye. So it's now, this case has now been official to them. That's one of the thoughts I had. Am I right? I don't know, but that's the thought that I had. The only people really interested are those on the racial. Well, right. But that's a good section of America, though. Said there's a process. That's what black people don't comprehend or understand. Procedural due process, meaning if there's a step skip and it's proving, game over. I've been saying, right. And so, but they have to prove it. They have to prove that the step was missing. And if they can't prove a step was missing, then I don't know what they're gonna do next. Said the first thing I look at is the time of arrest and hearing. He has to have a juvenile trial hearing before a juvenile can be transferred to adult court. Okay. But you know, once again, he filed the notice of appeal after the conviction under Texas appellate rules. A defendant in a criminal case has the right to appeal, and the notice of appeal generally must be filed within 30 days after sentencing unless a motion for new trial changes the timeline. So a lot of people are asking, will Carmelo get an appeal? Yes, he will get an appeal. He has the right to pursue a direct appeal. The real question is will he win a relief on his appeal? That's the real question. Will Carmelo win a relief on his appeal? Winning a relief could mean a new trial, a new sentencing proceeding, or some other appellate remedy. But an appeal does not automatically erase the conviction. And that's one thing we need to understand. So this new defense team is comprised of the lawyers Russell Wilson II, and Russell Wilson is the headline of this legal team. Russell Wilson II, Michael L. Ware, Gary Bledsoe, Brooke Claus, Sean Deridia, and Justin A. Moore. I saw something yesterday that said they added Ben Crump to the team. I saw a video that said Ben Crump was added to the team, but I didn't find any other supporting information to see if Ben Crump was added to this team. But I did see somebody on the video, but you know, people just be talking. So Russell Wilson II is a lead appellate counsel, former Dallas County prosecutor. Michael L. Ware is he's the law office of Michael Ware, NBC, Dallas, Fort Worth, identifies him as part of the appellate team. Gary Bledsoe is attorney and president of the Texas NAACP. Brooke Claus is an attorney with Ben Crump Law, so she works for Ben Crump Law. Sean Deridia works for his own law firm, and Justin A. Moore works for Stratford Moore PLLC. So CBS Texas reported the team is representing Anthony pro bono and will conduct a fresh independent review of the trial record. NBC Dallas Fort Worth reported that the team is made up of appellate, civil rights, and criminal defense attorneys. So I hope this is not just about having famous lawyers, because appeals require lawyers to know how to find preserved errors in the record, challenge the jury selection, examine trial rulings, review jury instructions, and argue why any error was harmful enough to justify a reversal. So once again, I hope this is not just about I got a high profile legal team and bringing more eyes to this. So we said I hope this team do their best. I hope they do their best. So Kent versus US even then later after the landmark case became in regal. Okay. All right. Hey, y'all laughing at the Ben Crump. Hey, I'm just saying, I haven't been able to verify if Ben Crump himself would be on, but I know a member of his law firm is on this team. Says if evidence or jury is proven to be unlawfully tampered with or suppressed, that is called jury evidence tampering that can and usually tanks a case and adds to overturn conviction, right? So they would I know that's one of the things that they are looking at. Yeah, they will have to challenge everything. So, you know, it's not just all cut and dry. So let's get into this. This is from I forgot who YouTube channel this is. Hold on, let me see. Whose YouTube channel? Queen Sheba Darling. This is her YouTube channel.
We are back. Welcome, everybody. Let me be the first to say happy Tuesday to you. Happy Tuesday to you.
I'll look them up,
hope
BG.
You have a strong cup of coffee because I know I do. Listen, I forgot to tag my favorite coffee in this live. You're going to need a cup of coffee because we're about to handle business and we're going to talk about the breaking news, the live update here. I know people have been talking about it since yesterday, but Karmelo Anthony has he has gotten a new legal team as his appeal is finally officially moving forward. So a new legal team has officially stepped into the Karmelo Anthony case after a substitution of counsel was filed as his appeal begins to move forward. Now, this is coming behind, hot off the heels of his murder conviction and the 35-year prison sentence that he has received.
No, that's a good point, Nemesis. That's a good point. You still have to have the power to enforce whatever type of legal sanctions and everything that's happening. You got to have the power to enforce it or to be able to reject whatever is happening. So, yeah.
And the fatal stabbing of Austin Metcalf. What does this mean? This means that the case is entering into a new phase that's going to be focused on the appellate review rather than retrying the facts of the case, okay? Because some of you, I hate to speak as and offend anybody, but I just want to make sure that we lay down, we kind of review this from a high level and lay down some of the facts and the foundational components so that you're able to follow along, because I am going to drop the link and open up the lines for you all to call to share your opinion, not on the case, but on the appeal process and what that means to you, what you hope happened, some of the things that you're concerned about, some of the things you agree with or don't disagree with, okay? So the court records indicate that a new appellate representation has been assigned as the appeal process proceeds. So that is what's happening in real time for Karmelo Anthony. The news was dropped yesterday by Ben Crump and also Drew Anthony, who's Karmelo Anthony's father. I didn't want to jump on it.
Okay, so Ben Crump is a part of this in some way. According to Queen Sheba, she just said Ben Crump and the father helped release the message of the appeal underway. So, and of course, this lady here is from Ben Crump's legal team. So Ben Crump is involved in this in some kind of way. We know Crump couldn't stay away. We know Crump and what's going to have to happen. So, yeah.
I don't like jumping on things as soon as they come out. I like people to marinate in it. And also sometimes you get a little bit more background, a little bit more information. So welcome. That's what we're focused on today. That's what we're going to be talking about over here. Now, before I get into the technical components of this new legal team, who they are, a little bit of their background and their experience, we're going to talk about the appeal process, what it means. Don't clap too soon, because everybody's celebrating. But I believe this is going to be a hell of a fight for Karmelo Anthony. I really do. I believe it's going to be a hell of a fight. Why do you say that? Well, okay. I kind of feel like I'm getting ahead of myself, and I don't want to get ahead of myself. Let's just say that this is going to be a fight. It's not going to be an easy win. I think we've entered into the realm of political space, right? Why do you say that? That means an appellate judge is going to have to overturn whatever decisions have been made, and really decide if a significant legal error occurred during the trial by either Judge Roach or the court that violated procedural rules or misinterpreted statutes, case law.
So a non-prosecution agreement. A non-prosecution agreement is a legally binding contract between a government enforcement agency such as the U.S. Department of Justice or the SEC and a corporation or individual under investigation where the government agrees not to file criminal charges in exchange for complete cooperation and compliance with specified terms. No formal charges, no court approval. It's typically private, conditional immunity. So yeah. You got to know the right folk. You got to know the right people.
So this new team is going to have to prove that a significant legal error occurred. Chew on that. A lot of people are saying, this is good, this is good, this is good, right? In my opinion, it's good because I don't feel that Karmelo Anthony received a fair trial. I was in the courtroom. I was there. I was boots on the ground. I don't feel he received a fair trial. Now, the question is, by who? Who failed Karmelo Anthony? If I had to just lean on just what I witnessed, that would come down to the judge or the defense. The state/prosecution, they did their job. Was there any significant legal errors demonstrated by the court, the judge, or the defense team? And that's what this new legal team is going to have to prove. Okay? Me personally, I don't feel he got a fair trial, but I'm not a lawyer. I'm not heavily familiar, overly, and neither does yours. That's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to open up the lines. Jay Taylor, you said, yeah, it's going to be a fight. However, there were major discrepancies. It's going to be easy, in my opinion. I don't know. That's what we're going to talk about. And I'm about to open up the lines in about 15 to 20 minutes. Feel free to call in, okay? And the good thing about this...
So let me read Kent versus the United States in 1966. I appreciate y'all dropping this stuff. You know, I'm gonna read it. You drop it in there. You tell me to look it up. I'm gonna look it up. So Kent versus United States in 1966 is a landmark Supreme Court case in which the court ruled that juveniles facing waiver of jurisdiction to adult criminal court are entitled to a hearing, representation by counsel, access to records, and a statement of reason for the transfer. The defendant was Morris A. Kent Jr., a 16-year-old, was detained and interrogated by police regarding multiple counts of housebreaking, robbery, and rape. Without holding a hearing or consulting Kent's counsel, the juvenile court waived its jurisdiction and sent the case to adult court, where Kent was tried, convicted, and sentenced to 30 to 90 years in prison. And the legal question is, did the juvenile court have the authority to waive its jurisdiction without a formal hearing and investigation? So the Supreme Court ruling, it was a 5-4 decision. The Supreme Court ruled that the juvenile court's waiver was invalid. The court held that although juvenile courts traditionally operate with broad discretion and they focus on rehabilitation, this philosophy is not an invitation to procedural arbitrariness. The court established that a transfer from juvenile to adult court is a critically important action. Therefore, juveniles are entitled to the essentials of due process and fair treatment under the 14th Amendment. The protections established, the court maintained that therefore a juvenile can be transferred to the adult criminal justice system. They are guaranteed the following: a hearing, a formal hearing must be held regarding the waiver, a right to counsel. The juvenile has the right to be represented by an attorney, access to records. The juvenile's counsel must have access to the juvenile court social records and probation records. Statement of reasons. The juvenile court judge must provide a clear statement of the reasons of waiver. The significance is Kent is widely considered the first major Supreme Court decision regarding juvenile rights. It fundamentally reshaped the juvenile justice system by injecting due process protections into proceedings that previously operated with wide, unchecked discretion. It also paved the way for subsequent landmark cases on juvenile rights, and most notably, and that's what Battle was talking about, in Rigaud in 1967, which extended formal due process rights to juveniles in delinquency proceedings. So let me let this play some more while I look up in Rigaud. Please hit that like button, y'all. Please continue to drop that information. You know I'm looking it up.
Stream and the way I run my platform, you don't have to agree. You don't have to agree with each other. But the fight for Karmelo Anthony's freedom is heading into the next round. A new group of heavyweight attorneys are now leading the effort to overturn his murder conviction, and they are doing it pro bono. So this includes a Texas NAACP president, Gary Bledsoe. He's a veteran appellate lawyer. We have Russell Wilson II. He's a civil rights attorney. We have Brooke Cluse. She announced Monday that she will also be joining Karmelo Anthony's case. She's going to conduct an independent review of the trial record, all of them, while pursuing all available avenues of appeal. Okay. So that's what we're looking at in real time. Now, when we think about, there's a lot of steps, y'all. Okay. When we think about, give me 1 second.
Well, why she take?
If we base,
let me read this. So, in Rigaud in 1967, in Rigaud is a landmark U.S. Supreme Court case that established that juveniles accused of crimes in delinquency proceedings are entitled to the same fundamental due process protections under the 14th Amendment as adults. In 1964, a 15-year-old Gerald Jerry Galt was taken into custody for allegedly making an obscene phone call. The authorities failed to notify his parents of his arrest. At his juvenile court hearing, there was no transcript taken, no sworn testimony, and the complaining witness was not present. Despite the maximum penalty for an adult being a $50 fine and 2 months in jail, Galt was sentenced to a state industrial school until he reached the age of 21, a potential 6-year sentence. In an 8-1 decision, the Supreme Court ruled in Galt's favor. The court found that the Arizona juvenile court system severely violated Galt's constitutional rights and ordered his release. The justice declared that children are persons under the Constitution and deserve fair treatment when facing a deprivation of liberty. The court ruled that juveniles facing delinquency hearings must be afforded the following procedural guarantees: right to adequate notice, advance written notice of the specific charges must be given to both the child and their parents at the earliest practicable time, right to counsel. Juveniles have the right to be represented by an attorney, and one must be provided by the state if the family cannot afford it. Right against self-incrimination. Juveniles have the constitutional right to remain silent and cannot be compelled to testify against themselves. Right to confront and cross-examine witness. Juveniles and their attorneys have the right to question their accusers and any witnesses present against them. So why this matters? Prior to in Rigaud, juvenile courts operated with wide discretion, often prioritizing rehabilitation over constitutional formalities. This landmark ruling fundamentally transformed the juvenile justice system in the United States, requiring it to balance its rehabilitative goals with formal legal safeguards. So that is in Rigaud. So let's keep going.
Everything that's happening on the Texas criminal appellate procedure and what has already been filed in the Karmelo Anthony case. Here's how the appeal process. Now, the appeal process isn't about having a dream team. The appeal process is going to focus on whether legal errors occurred during the trial, not whether the appellate judges believe the defendant is guilty or innocent. And Jay Taylor, that's why I said this is going to be tough. This appellate judge is going to focus on did any legal errors occur during the trial? Now, for those of you that have been following the trial, let me ask you something. Do you feel like any legal errors occurred during the trial? Yes or no?
And let's be real. Most people feel like one of the main legal errors that occurred in this trial was the jury selection. Now, I must say this for the sake of common sense and the sake of truth and fairness, sake of common sense. We do know that at least one of those black jurors said that they cannot be impartial, and that got them eliminated. So, that's a common sense thing. If you're going in there telling people you can't be impartial, and you, I believe it was more specific that she cannot convict the black person. So, of course, they're not going to pick up. But, a lot of people would say this is why you need to be on jury. This is why you need to go to jury duty and jury selection. But remember, we're talking about systematic oppression. We're not talking about individual things. We're talking about a system. So you're a cog in the wheel. A cog in the wheel not going to make the whole wheel stop, because the cog can be replaced. So it's challenging the whole system. It's being able to have a system strong enough to challenge this system that's already in place.
This is where you have to stick to the law, not feelings, not emotions, not the victim, not the defendant, not Jeff Metcalf, not Drew Anthony, not black, not white, not politics. None of that crap matters. This is going to come down to the letter of the law. And that's why I had to jump in, right? I was like, listen, I've covered this case from top to bottom, in and out, up and down, back to front. But I want to come in to tell you this comes down to the letter of the law. Do you believe that the dream team will be able to show that a legal error occurred?
That's my question. And that dream team showed that an error
drop this device in the water
was made.
These berries are fresh from the store and already rinsed under the tap.
10
minutes changes color. What floats to the surface will change how you feed your family.
Rich Block said today is a new day. Luke 6:23, family is June. Hey, listen, thank you for tuning in. That's their job. The first step has already been completed. That's a notice of appeal.
Vanessa, that's why I'm saying filed. The systematic part that we have to always take into account, because you're right. The other jurors said that they could be impartial, but then they said, the people who select the jury said, well, they couldn't pick those two black jurors because they were educators. So, of course, one person eliminated themselves, but the other two, their elimination was that they are educators, and they didn't feel that educators could be impartial. So, yeah.
That was already completed. This has already happened, okay? The first step, number one, you have to file a notice of appeal. That's where you're notifying the court, listen, we intend to appeal.
That's what they're doing now.
And it has to be filed generally between 30 days after sentencing in the state of Texas. Now, step number two is substitution of counsel. And this is where we are today. This is where trial attorneys begin stepping aside while appellate attorneys take over. So Mike Howard, Toby Shook, or trial attorneys, they're stepping to the side, and the appellate attorneys are taking over. Why? Because appeals are a specialized area of law, similar to medicine. Right. You have heart surgeons, you have orthopedic surgeons. You get what I'm saying? You have ophthalmologists.
Right.
So this is a special entity of law.
So with that being said, remember what an appeal actually does, right? An appeal, once again, an appeal is not a full do-over. The appellate court reviews the trial records, which includes the clerk's record and, when necessary, the reporter's record or transcript. Texas Rule of Appellate Procedure 34.1 says the appellate record consists of the clerk's record and, if necessary, the reporter's record. So with that being said, the appellate lawyers will likely review the jury selection where black jurors improperly struck was a Bastion challenge wrongly denied. They will look at jury instructions. Did the jury receive proper instructions on self-defense, deadly force, manslaughter, lesser offenses, or burden of proof? Evidence rulings. Was evidence wrongly admitted or excluded? They will look at prosecutor conduct. Did prosecutors make improper arguments or misstate the law? They will look at the defense's performance. Did trial counsel preserve issues properly? Some inflictive assistance claims may be better suited for later habeas proceedings depending on the record. And they will also look at the sentencing. Was the sentence legally valid? Were any improper factors introduced or argued? The appellate team cannot simply say we disagree with the jury. They must show legal error, and usually they must show the error mattered, right? So, of course, we know that the biggest appeal issue, once again, is the jury selection, one of the most important issues, right? Especially because multiple reports said no black jurors were selected, right? We know that they had other people of color who fight for white proximity real hard, who don't really mess with us, basically. So they had other people of color on the jury, but no black jurors. Of course, one person said they couldn't be impartial, but the other two, the people said, well, they can't be jurors because they are educators, right? So the Guardian reported during the trial that none of the 12 jurors or 6 alternatives were black, that the defense objected after procedures struck black prospective jurors. The legal framework here comes from the Baston versus Kentucky, the U.S. Supreme Court case that prohibits prosecutors from using, I don't know how to say that word, from using peremptory strikes to remove jurors because of race. Under Baston, a defense can make a prima facie showing by pointing to the prosecutor's use of strikes against jurors in the defendant's race and other circumstances suggesting discrimination. Now, how could this possibly help Karmelo? If the appellate team can show the trial judge wrongly accepted the prosecution's race-neutral explanations, or that the explanations were pretextual, that could be a serious constitutional issue. While it may be difficult, trial judges are usually given deference on credibility-based jury selection decisions. If the prosecutor gave a race-neutral decision and the judge accepted it, the appellate team must show why that ruling was legally wrong based on the record. So no black jurors does not automatically prove foul play under the law. But it absolutely raises a serious fairness question that the appellate team would need to examine with precision. And if they examine it, I believe, and most of us believe, that if they examine this properly enough, and if they are skilled enough, they can find the errors in this trial and be able to do what they need to do and be the high profile team that they need to be. Because like End of Days is saying, most of us don't believe he got a fair trial. We don't believe he got a fair trial. So a Somali man executes the black man in the Bronx. How many Somali jury members? Oh man, shut up, Ashley. Ashley, you came to the right place if you want some attention. But once again, when the trolls come, that's how y'all know we're doing a good job. When the trolls come out, that's how you know we're doing a good job over here. That's how you know we're actually telling some truth over here. They would rather see us spreading lies and just hyping each other up instead of over here learning. So welcome, Ashley. You came to the right place. Answer the question. How would you expect to see Ashley? Hello, Ashley. I'm in charge over here.
This is not for a trial attorney to take on. An appellate lawyer is typically looking for constitutional errors, evidentiary mistakes, jury instruction issues, improper rulings, preserved objections. This is the part where we have to say, what did the defense team object to? Now, me sitting in the courtroom, not much. And I think this is where some of the hoopla comes in, where people are saying or feel as if Mike Howard failed Karmelo Anthony as a client because he really didn't object to much in the courtroom. So the only thing that the appellate lawyer could really push back on are the objections made by the defense, not the ones that they did not object to.
What's that say? This is for real.
Now, here is the thing. This is going to be a long process because unlike trial lawyers, the appellate lawyers, they have to spend months and months reviewing transcripts instead of interviewing witnesses. It's a technical strategy, almost like technical reading. The third thing is the clerk's record is going to be prepared. This is where the district clerk assembles every document filed during the case, including the indictment, motions, orders, jury charge, verdict, sentencing documents, exhibits admitted into evidence. It's almost like a paper trail. So the clerk is going to have to do all of this, right? And there's actually a person that does it. I don't know how state court works, but I know in federal court, there's a person that's assigned to this, right? To this caseload that includes all of this. And they go through and they check off to make sure everything is included. That's the third step. We're not there yet. The fourth step is where the court reporter's record. This is one of the biggest parts, right? The court reporter prepares thousands of pages containing every witness, every objection, every sidebar, every bench conference that was recorded, opening statements and closing statements.
So while she in her pause, a habeas corpus. A habeas corpus is a legal procedure that allows anyone who is detained by the government to challenge their detention in front of a judge. Translating that, it acts as a fundamental safeguard against arbitrary, indefinite, or unlawful imprisonment. So when a writ of habeas corpus is issued, it functions as a demand for the detaining authority, like a prison warden or law enforcement, to physically bring the prisoner before a court and provide a valid legal justification for their confinement. If the government cannot prove that the detention is lawful, the judge must order the prisoner's release. All right. Gotcha.
For the appeal process, it's limited to what happened in the courtroom. Only what happened in the courtroom. The fifth step is when the appellate lawyers, they're going to review everything, right? We got to get everything together. There has to be a check and balance. It has to come from the courthouse. And then you have to make sure that you verify and check everything and ensure that you have everything that you've requested. And then that's when this dream team is going to have to review everything. This takes months. They read every single page, every sentence. They're going to look for legal errors. They're going to be asking questions like, did the judge make the wrong ruling? Was evidence improperly admitted? Was evidence improperly excluded? Now, this is if they're going to have anything, this just jumped out at me. Was evidence improperly excluded? This is where it comes down to the social media back and forth. The video that was presented by the state. The forensic digital analyst put the video together. He testified under oath.
Now they keep saying that there is a much clearer 11-minute video of the confrontation. Some people keep saying that they saw the video. I'm seeing more people saying that they saw the video. I was scrolling through Instagram yesterday and people was trying to say that this is the clearer video, but it wasn't the more clearer video. So I'm starting to question the credibility or the existence of this much clearer video that people keep saying exists that shows the altercation. But even the video that was put out, the conclusion that we came from looking at that is, in our opinion, that video as of right now, I'm not sure it helps or hurts the case. So,
and he followed the instructions of the
I hope y'all be nice out there now.
State. Now, the video that you're seeing on social media, there's two versions of the video. The video that you're currently seeing on social media is the video that was introduced as evidence in the courtroom. Some of that we were able to see as we attended as public public attendees. Some of it we were not able to see, and it was only shown to the jurors. Here's the issue, or here's something that maybe the defense could point out as an issue. When Mike Porter, that's the digital forensic analyst, he testified under oath that he received instructions from the prosecution. Go back and watch the video. The spotlight, the circle that you see on Karmelo Anthony, that's called a spotlight. He was asked by the state to spotlight Karmelo Anthony. Anytime you see Karmelo, we want you to zoom in on him. We want you to zoom in on him. We want you to follow his every move from the time he came up.
And a lot, I haven't taken the time to really analyze the video, but a lot of people are saying their versions of the video or the video itself is doctored up, is heavily edited and not really showing real things. I've seen people trying to break things down. I just haven't had the chance to really look in it this week, but that's also rumors out there that whatever you see is not the real video because it's heavily edited. So, y'all let me know.
Through that entrance into the stadium, until the time that the paramedics were called, until everything was done and Austin Metcalf was transported to the hospital, right? That's what he testified to under oath. However, on cross-examination, when pushed and asked by the defense, could you have spotlighted the fight, the altercation underneath the tent? He said, yes, I could have. The defense is like, whoa, hold on. I'm paraphrasing you all. So you could have zoomed in and gave us a better view of the altercation. Yes, I could have. How come you did? He said, because the state told me to only spotlight Karmelo Anthony. So this is where the defense may be able to challenge, was evidence improperly excluded?
Right.
If the digital forensic expert had zoomed in underneath that tent, would this have changed anything?
So she's saying that the digital evidence expert admitted that he was not able to zoom in because they told him only to spotlight Karmelo. So yeah. Hey Ashley, I'm glad you still here because you got to be one of the craziest people in the world to still be here. But I appreciate, man. Ashley, have you hit the like button? Since you lack comprehension, I know you can't read, Ashley. I know somebody typing for you. I know you can't read because that is definitely not what I said. That is definitely not what I said. I know you lack comprehension and I know you can't read, but hit that like button while you're here being a hater. So make sure you do that. You know, the thumb up button. I know you can't read and you lack comprehension. So the thumb up button, hit that button while you're here.
Would this have painted Austin Metcalf as the aggressor, or would it have validated and confirmed that Karmelo Anthony was indeed the aggressor as the state has presented to the jury? What are your thoughts? What are your thoughts?
Hey, and I love that you lack comprehension. I love that you lack comprehension. Because all you got to do is hit the back button. You can see exactly what I said. But I know you got a third grade education, so you know.
Okay. If we go to the next question that are questions that are normally asked by appellate trial lawyers, were constitutional rights violated? Were there any constitutional rights violated on the behalf of Karmelo Anthony? Some of you are arguing he's guaranteed a fair trial by his peers. And many people are saying, listen, his peers would have to be, I mean, you mean to tell me we don't have no Black folks on the jury? Is he not entitled to have a Black person on the jury? Is that a violation of his constitutional rights? They would also ask, were jury instructions legally correct?
Right.
That's a good one.
So, Natasha, from what because we looked at the video last Saturday. From the video, from the surveillance video that is out, there, it's hard to see if he was actually put into a headlock. Basically, you can see pushing back and forth. You can see the pushing back and forth. You see Karmelo pop out of the tent, and then you see Austin Metcalf eventually tumbling down the stairs, and he bumps into hits whatever the young girl wearing the yellow jacket. He rolls and bows into her and everything. But the video isn't clear. The video isn't clear enough to tell. Like I said, even like Queen Sheba just said in this video, the rumors are that there are two versions of this video. The version that we've been seeing, and then a much clearer version. So, you know, you have a handful of people saying that they saw the much clearer version. What we saw was the standard version that is out there right now. So it doesn't really confirm or deny whether Karmelo was put in a headlock. So that's what I'm saying. The video evidence don't really help or hurt that. I don't know. So how you doing, Black Butterflies? How you doing, beautiful dark goddess? She must not have any friends in real life, so she has to go online and argue with. Hey man, look. Yeah, Ashley. Well, you know, when you can't read, you know. Oh, no problem.
Did prosecutors commit reversible errors? Did the defense counsel preserve objections? Every potential issue will be evaluated. Then step 6, they're going to file the appellate's brief. This is where the real action starts. This is where we get into the shucking and jiving of it all. That's where the defense files a lengthy written brief, often dozens of pages. We're talking a lot of pages, identifying the alleged legal errors and explaining why they want relief from the court. Here's some possible issues that have been floating around social media. Jury selection. The defense may argue that Black jurors were improperly struck. The appellate court is going to review whether the trial judge correctly ruled on that issue.
Well, see, also, I want people coming from this podcast to understand, like, we're talking about systematic racism in all 9 areas of human activity. Law is one of those areas. And law, as a whole, law is something that us as Black people are not strong in, right? And so we like to bring a lot of emotions into this. And of course, we are pro Karmelo on this, but we have to make sure that we're approaching this in the proper legal sense so he can get the justice that he deserves. Right. And so a lot of the talking points that Black people are centering on, I want them to understand that we need to be looking at the appeal now. We need to be, and that's why I was focusing on them being able to prove foul play. The appeal team needs to be able to prove foul play. First, the appeal needs to be granted, but then they need to be able to prove foul play. So those are the things that we should be focusing on, the legal team and them being able to get down and say, all right, this is what went wrong, this is what went wrong, this is what went wrong. Because yes, as a whole, we are still examining the case, but what we are now, like in real terms, is all right, the appeal is our main focus, and this team being able to get the appeal and be able to prove something, prove any type of foul play, especially in the jury selection. If that can happen, now we cooking with grease. But we need to get to that point so we can actually be cooking with grease and not just cooking with hope. So, say with that, that's why they need to bring Brother Shabazz from the Pan-African Grappling down to Dallas to be a professional witness. I believe there are other videos of the prosecutors are hiding, and if so, they need to be disbarred private. And that's what I'm saying. If it is, and if it is, I hopefully this appeal team could find it or even get somebody to reveal it. Hopefully. Say emotional cultural dynamics versus mechanical dynamics. Hey man, we looked at that. Y'all please hit that like button.
Jury instructions. Were the jurors properly instructed on self-defense? According to Texas law, y'all. A lot of you all are confusing school policy with Texas law. That's why I like the technical aspects of these things over here.
Right.
There's Texas law as it relates to the knife that Karmelo Anthony was accused of carrying. And then there's school policy.
Right. He couldn't have it on school grounds, but legally he could have it in Texas.
Were they instructed on murder according to Texas law, manslaughter, sudden passion, burden of proof?
Now, also, if it was a multi-tool, the prosecution is calling it a knife. The defense is calling it a multi-tool that they use for the track for their cleats and all those things there. So even that distinction is there. But the problem is the prosecution was able to paint the picture of it being a knife and a weapon more than a multi-tool. During the trial, the prosecution was able to paint that picture. And see, I don't know, Vanessa. I'm not sure if the evidence can be requested at this point, because remember, at this point, they are only able. Their only mission is to prove foul play. That's the only thing they really can do is prove foul play in the specific areas. And so they have to, once again, they have to prove foul play in jury sentencing, jury instructions, evidence ruling, was evidence wrongly admitted or excluded, prosecutor conduct, defense performance, and sentencing. So, right, so it's a camping multi-tool. But once again, the issue with the multi-tool at this point is the prosecution was able to paint the picture that they painted about Karmelo and the multi-tool. So they painted the picture of a thuggish Negro with a knife that had a motive to stab a good, upstanding white boy. That's the picture that was painted. And the defense team wasn't good enough to challenge that. That's why we're here.
An incorrect instruction can sometimes require reversal of the decision that was made, okay? And then you move on and you shift to evidentiary rulings. Did the judge wrongly admit or exclude evidence? That is going to be the dogfight. That is going to be the dogfight right here, because we don't know what we don't see, right? Is there a better version of this video that could have told a different story? That's what they have to prove. And did the judge intentionally exclude that evidence? Is there a reason why constituents from Collin County are saying, listen, I signed up, I went down to Frisco Independent School District, and I saw a completely different version of this video. I saw Austin Metcalf snatch Karmelo Anthony back into the tent as he attempted to run away. I saw him put him in a headlock. You have different accounts of what constituents of Collin County are saying that they saw for the ones that were allowed to review the video. Here are examples of evidentiary rulings: photographs, testimony, videos, prior statements, expert testimony. Ooh, that's a good one. There's also a question when it comes to Eddie Pera. Did Eddie record the altercation? The state is saying Eddie pretended to record.
Right.
He really didn't. He's sorry for making it seem like he recorded the incident. But
now, now let's be real. Let's be real. In an era, this is a post-World Star era. But this is an era where everybody pulls their phone out for everything. I'm talking about everything. People pull their phone out and record everything, especially a fight. So they're trying to convince us that Eddie or no other children out there, but especially Eddie, didn't record anything. And see, that could go, Vanessa, that could go to the evidence withheld that they can do. That's an angle that they can use evidence withheld. Because do we really believe Eddie did not record what was going on? Because we already know Eddie is a liar. Eddie has already proven himself to be a disloyal, lying sack of something. Because we're talking about a dude who him and Karmelo been down for a minute. And then when they got to the courtroom, Eddie acted like he didn't know Karmelo, when Eddie was the one that invited Karmelo under the tent. And so Eddie has video footage And that video footage was not submitted because, come on, man, y'all can't convince us that Eddie did not hit record. Eddie just held his phone up and was pretending to record. Eddie's word is already not good. Let's stop it. Come on now.
Really, he didn't. It was a stupid decision. He thought it was funny at the time. He instigated the fight, but he really did not record the evidence. I mean, the altercation. Is that true? Is that not true? Because you have the police guy, the detective that interviewed the students, he testified under oath. He doesn't recall seeing or deleting.
What do you mean? According to Texas law, it's legal to make Austin watch over the team 10. What do you mean? What law is that? What specific law? And I'm from Florida, so I'm trying to understand. What specific Texas law says that it was legal to make Austin watch over the team 10? What law is that? Because I'm hearing too many different stories about it, because the people who are pro Austin are saying that Austin had the authority, but what authority does he have to do that? Like, what authority gave him to do that? And then I heard another story saying an adult was under the tent, but that makes Austin's actions even worse. If an adult was under the tent, because the video I saw of a young lady saying an adult was under the tent, and the adult asked Karmelo to leave first, and Karmelo didn't leave. That makes Austin Metcalf's actions even worse. So you mean to tell me, according to that young lady, an adult was present and Austin still did that? Come on. I hear you, be nice.
A video from Eddie's phone that captured the altercation. He didn't say no. He didn't say yes. He said he didn't recall. And then we come down to the sufficiency of the evidence. The defense may argue, even viewing the evidence favorably to the prosecution, no rational jury could have found guilt beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, this is one of the hardest arguments to win, because the appellate courts give substantial deference to jury verdicts. Ooh, that's a good one. They don't want to discourage people from coming to show up for jury duty. It's really hard to get an appellate court to overturn a jury verdict. And then step 7, that's where the state is going to file its brief. So it doesn't work one way. There's reciprocity in this process. So the prosecution, Collin County, gets to file its brief. And that's where the prosecution gets to respond to everything that the defense is laying out. Their brief essentially says the trial judge ruled correctly. They get to argue no reversible error, objections lacked merit, any errors were harmless, conviction should stand. That's why I said it's going to be a dogfight. Are you with me? Are you following? Can I proceed? Then the defense gets to respond again in this process to what the state says. They get one final response.
So I will not to stop her, not to cut her off, but I do want to read this. There's no Texas law that legally authorizes a teacher or staff member to give a student official authority over a track tent. While student athletes may be designated to assist with equipment, school personnel cannot delegate official disciplinary or supervisory authority to a minor. In Texas, the right to maintain discipline and direct students remain the legal responsibility of certified employees and administrators under the Texas Education Code, Chapter 37. School staff cannot legally empower a student to physically remove or force another student to leave a location. So that deads that. That deads that. Well, yeah, I feel you, Nemesis. That's another reason why we're here, though, because they couldn't prove that Eddie lied. We know Eddie lied, but they couldn't prove Eddie lied. Well, actually, they did prove Eddie lied, but it still didn't help the case. Let me restate that. The defense was able to prove that Eddie lied about his affiliation with Karmelo, but it still didn't help in the verdict. So, yeah.
They get to answer the state's argument. And then sometimes, and I do believe they will be able to, it depends on how the court systems work, they will be granted an oral argument. That's where the Fifth Court of Appeals may schedule an oral argument, although not every case receives one. So that's why I say it depends.
I feel you, Infra.
And each side typically has a
What's going
limited
on,
amount of
Kush? How
time
you
to
doing?
answer the judge's questions about the
What's
legal
going on?
issues that were raised in the briefs. And then that's where the judge deliberates. Whew. It's a 3-panel judge review. It's not just one judge, it's 3 judges. And now do you see why it's important for you all to get up and go to the polls to vote? Because it's not one judge.
And it's not getting up. It's not just getting up, going to the polls and vote. Remember, decisions are made before these people are selected. We got to make sure we are producing our own judges. We got to make sure we're buying our own judges. We got to make sure these judges, these politicians, anybody who going into any political realm that can affect any aspect of our life, they need to be indoctrinated into our worldview so they can advocate for us and they can put policy in place for us. Because that's how that really works. If you're waiting, if your only strategy is to vote people in, you don't even know what game you playing. We should be we should be catching people when they're young. You scout the talent when they're young. You indoctrinate them into your worldview. And when they grow up, they push the agendas that support you and them. And you make sure you buying them because you can buy the people that you indoctrinate.
It's going to be a panel of judges.
Well, that's what
and they're
I'm
going
saying.
to sit down.
We don't have none because we don't understand the process. We don't understand how to produce politicians for real. So we don't have no judges.
They're going to review the briefs, the transcripts, the exhibits, applicable laws. And if they allow them to have oral arguments, they're going to review those. No witnesses will be brought in during this process. No new evidence gets to come in. This is a technical fight. Do you think these attorneys on this thumbnail will be able to rise to the occasion for the technicality of it all? And after,
hey, that means, Kush, that means you told the truth. That's what that means. You told the truth. Said Eddie stripping in front of a large crowd that went viral the other day. It seems to me Eddie is hiding a lot. The main question, why was Eddie coming out of his clothes said Eddie was stripping? I didn't see that.
The panel of judges review everything from the briefs, the exhibits, applicable laws, then the opinion is issued. Here's the thing. It's not white and black. It's not going to be a yes or a no. There's several outcomes that are possible. Option 1, this is the most common. Brace yourself. This is where the panel of judges, they confirm or affirm the conviction. The conviction will not be overturned. Everything remains the same. The sentence will stand. Number 2, they reverse and remand. That's where they send the case back for a new trial. This only happens if the court finds that a reversible legal error likely affected the outcome. Legal error.
Right.
What is a legal error?
Right.
I told y'all earlier. Jury instructions, jury selection, evidentiary rulings, sufficiency of the evidence. Then the third outcome could be modified judgment. Sometimes the only sentence or another limited aspect of the judgment is changed. That means they can lessen the amount of time that Karmelo has to serve in prison. That's it, y'all. Either the conviction will stand, it will be reversed and remanded, and he'll receive a new trial, a fair trial, or they're going to modify the judgment. Modify the judgment.
Now, I didn't say, y'all the first ones telling me about that, about Eddie. But this lady speaking facts. This Queen Sheba speaking facts. That's why I want to show this video. But I didn't know that about Eddie. But even that, I hear what you're saying, cheerleader. I hear what you're saying. But that's even more reason why you don't mess with people like Eddie. Because you either gonna be down with us 10 toes or you ain't down. You can't be 9 toes. You can't be 9.5 toes down. If you ain't 10 toes down with us, if you ain't all the way down, then you don't need to be around us because you a liability. And liabilities hurt the movement. Can they request a change of venue? Not that it would matter. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if they can request a change of venue, but let me Google it real quick to see.
Acquittal can be rendered. This is rare. I mean, this is like a unicorn, right? This generally occurs only if the evidence is legally insufficient to support the conviction. Woo. If either side loses in the Fifth Court of Appeals, they can ask a higher criminal court in Texas, that's the Texas Court of Criminal Appeals, to review the case again. So this is not an overnight win. This is.
So according to Google, he cannot request, or the legal team cannot request a change of venue. So that's what I was saying. Typically the reversed or the retrial is difficult, especially in political trials. So my expectation is that the greatest success was, I feel you. Cheerleader said he could have been scared also of the bullies. No, I feel you. Cheerleader, trust me, I feel you. But what I am saying though is a person like that or people like that cannot be allies to black people because they are compromised. Because whether they scare you or not, if you're not down, because that's even black people who move like that. And those black people we can't rock with, because once again, if you're not 10 toes down with us, then you're not in this, and we can't rock with you because you're gonna be a liability and you're gonna get messed this whole thing up. No problem, be nice. Now I appreciate you asking that question. That was a good question to ask. Right. Black by the man, I hear you.
They're gearing up for a long fight. Here's the thing. If either side loses in the Fifth Court of Appeals, it's pretty much final because most petitions are denied. They stop it right there. It dies there. If the direct appeal is unsuccessful for Karmelo Anthony, he could later pursue post-conviction habeas relief. What does that mean? Years later, though, he would have to wait years.
That's what we just read earlier, the habeas.
And these proceedings, they're separate from direct appeal. They can raise certain constitutional claims such as ineffective assistance of counsel or newly discovered evidence subject to Texas law, okay? And although every case is different, we're looking at about, I'm going to say minimum
$30
a year.
Willie D still in my thing. I've been telling people they need to
12 to 24 months, depending on how quick the record is prepared, when briefing is completed, and the appellate court is able to issue its decision made or reached by the panel of judges. Okay. So for those of you that are asking, is there going to be another trial? Not automatically, not necessarily.
Right.
A new trial occurs only if an appellate court determines that a significant legal error requires one.
And what you're talking about could take maybe 2 to 3 years to happen. This is not something that's going to happen right now, or even when you want it to happen. This could be a 2 to 3 year process, even longer than that.
You cannot live in your feelings. You cannot live in your racism, your hate, your dislike of black people, your dislike of white people.
I don't listen to, I don't like Willie D channel.
Zone in on significant legal errors. That's it. That's all. I'm telling y'all, I see some of y'all.
No hate against Willie D. I would rather listen to Willie D rap than Willie D talk about the social issues.
Said, listen, I don't believe it. I'm just telling you what the law is. Can they introduce new evidence? No, they can't. Not in this process. Direct appeals are decided using the record created during the original trial. Can a witness testify again? Not during the appeal process. Does a new lawyer mean that the conviction is in trouble? Nope, not necessarily. This is just routine.
Right.
This is routine in serious criminal cases for specialized appellate counsel to handle the appeal after the trial ends. It's almost like they're not really going to trial. like we witnessed.
No, Nemesis. I wasn't. No, me and you on the same page. I wasn't saying that like you was hating or something, but I was just saying it for me, just in case this video go out and Willie D might see this. And, like, you're talking about, we ain't hating on you, Willie D. We understand racism. So now me and you on the same page, Nemesis. Trust me. Can't have any. Hey man. Hey. But see, Kush, entertainers have to get out of their feelings. But the problem is black people have empowered entertainers so much to believe that they're leaders that entertainers can't get out of the way and believe that they're not leaders. So that's another issue right there. But they be in their feelings. That's why we got to be nice.
In the Karmelo Anthony trial, these are technical lawyers that specialize in knowing the law from a different aspect. Think of them as surgeons in the legal field, okay? But this team is not an indication of how the appeal will ultimately be decided, all right? Now, let's get into the team real quick, and then we're going to open up the lines. But let me say this. Let me say this. And typically, maybe I should. Let me think. Give me a couple of seconds to think if I want to say what I think I want to say. Yeah, I want to say it. I want to say it. Let me take a sip of my coffee really quick. And you know what? I encourage you to do the same. Give me a second. You said, so his confession should be thrown out. Nothing's going to be thrown out.
Right. Yeah, that's not how that works.
They only focus. So here's the thing. Like I said before, I try to run through it really quick. The appellate court is going to focus on everything that was introduced in the courtroom.
Yeah.
If the confession was mentioned and laid out by the state in the courtroom, the appellate judge is going to consider that. I know I'm not a lawyer. I said, didn't I say I'm not a lawyer? I thought I said that. You're not a lawyer. I know that. I started off, I'm not a lawyer. All right, y'all, chill out. Bronze, let me stay out the comments. Cause see, let me stay out the comments and stay focused. And then I'll come back and shuck and jive with y'all a little bit later. God don't need to show me nothing, sweetheart. I can't wait till God shows you. Sweetheart, I'm at home having a cup of coffee. Let me put this on the screen. See, I should have stayed out the freaking comments because here I go. Listen, ma'am, let me tell you how we do this over here. Some of you are new, and I really don't like emotional people coming on my page because I'm with the shits. I really am, but I try not to be. If you are not mature enough to focus on the content and not the person, you probably need to leave. Because once you drop a comment in my chat, I feel like you're okay for me to go back and forth with you. Now, the lady says, I can't wait till God shows you. Baby, I'm at home, walking with the Lord, having a cup of coffee, blessed and highly favored. I ain't killed nobody. I ain't put my hands on nobody. God is showing me his goodness, and the sun is shining and the birds are singing.
But I feel her frustration, though. I feel her frustration because people, we're too emotional. We are too emotional. I don't really want to hear, but I feel her frustration because we are too emotional.
That's it. So I'm not a freaking echo chamber. No. I need to set the stage. I always say I'm not an echo chamber. Nobody's my puppet master. You don't get to dictate how I deliver. That's all I'm saying. You don't get to dictate. You can't beat me into submission. You can't lowbrow me. If you don't like it, boot scoot boogie the hell on up out of here. So that's all I'm saying.
So I'm gonna stop this video right here because my time is running short. So because I got this community event that I signed up for that I got to get to go work. But what would the new legal team need to do to get the best outcome for Karmelo Anthony? The best outcome for Karmelo would likely be one of the following. Hey, look. Hey, look, battle. We on the same page, man. Look here. That's why I just keep going. I see it and I just keep going, my brother. I see it out here and I just keep going. The possible outcomes for Karmelo is a conviction reversed. The appellate court finds harmful legal error. A new trial ordered. The case goes back and prosecutors may retry him. A sentence relief conviction stands, but sentencing issue gets corrected. A further review. If the Court of Appeals denies relief, the team may seek discretionary review from higher courts. To get there, the legal team needs to obtain and master the full record, which is transcripts, jury selection, objections, rulings, admitted exhibits, rejected evidence, jury change, closing arguments, and sentencing evidence. They need to identify preserved errors. Appellate courts usually care whether trial counsel objected at the right time and made a clear record. They need to build the strongest bastion jury selection argument. Compare struck black jurors to non-black jurors who are allowed to serve. If the prosecution's race-neutral explanations do not hold up under comparison, that becomes a stronger issue. They need to examine the jury charge. Determine whether instructions properly explain self-defense, deadly force, burden of proof, or any lesser included offenses. They need to review evidence rulings. Look for evidence they may have unfairly prejudiced the jury or evidence they may have been wrongly kept away from the defense. They need to review closing arguments, determine whether the prosecution made improper arguments that could have inflamed the jury or misled the law. They need to separate direct appeal issues from habeas issues. Some claims, especially ineffective assistance, may require evidence outside of the trial record and may need to be raised later. The appeal team's job is not to win the internet. Their job is to win the record. So we got to make sure we take our feelings out of it and make sure we understand the law. All right. And if we ain't understanding the law, that's not going to help Karmelo anyway. All right. Yeah, we about design emotion. And you know, I told you, man, if black people was a Marvel superhero, us telling people off would be our superpower. Our resilience, we're not gonna die. We're not gonna die. But we can be, you know, detained, but our superpower will be telling people off. So, you know how many errors are necessary for them to win the appeal? That I do not know, Kevin. I am not sure of how many errors need to appear. Let me try to Google that. How many errors must be present for a convict? Let me see. I'm Googling it. It says you do not need a specific number of errors to file an appeal. Just one significant legal or procedural error is enough if it prejudiced the outcome. So yeah, you just need one good one. Basically, that's what they're saying. You just need one good one. Now thank you for that question, Kevin. I didn't know either. I appreciate y'all asking some real good questions there. I like that. And because that allows all of us to learn as we go and be able to grow and understand what's going on better. Because remember, like, this is Karmelo, but we're learning how the law works. We're learning how the legal process works. Remember, Nathan Fuller said white supremacy controls all 9 areas of human activity: education, entertainment, economics, labor law, politics, religion, sex, and war. We're looking at the law aspect of it right now. And we need to understand how they get down. All right. So I have to bring this show to a close, but as always, I enjoy you all because we have great conversations. We learn, we grow. I appreciate y'all with how the law works. right. How the law works for them. Right. But shout out to all the trolls who come in trying to throw us off, but we know y'all really love the content. So shout out to all the trolls. Shout out to everybody who continues to support this channel. Shout out to my moderators, Will Justice and Kush. Thank you both. Thank you to everybody. Kiki, the first one to show up. Battle Kendra, Renee, Nemesis, Black Butterflies. Everybody who constantly shows up on a regular basis to support this channel. I really appreciate everybody. And be nice, my man. Be nice, everybody, man. I just appreciate it all. Inference, I appreciate you. Everybody that shows up over here and holds it down. Larry Hollins, I appreciate you. Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all. But I got to run. I do have to run. Palasa, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Palasa, thank you for becoming a new sub on this channel. I appreciate you. Vanessa, I appreciate you. Beautiful dark goddess, I appreciate you. End of days, I appreciate you as well. So I appreciate everybody, man. I love y'all. Y'all continue being black. Let's continue to grow. Let's continue to get better and work with each other better and have a better, so we can have better outcomes, basically. That's how we do. So we have better outcomes. I appreciate you all. I love y'all. And, I'll see y'all live again on Tuesday night. Now, of course, holidays are coming up. 4th of July holidays are coming up. So we're going to have time off. So you're going to see me live a lot more next week. Love you all. Peace out.